Here are 5 solid AFK methods that I wanted to share, which are useful for building up any OSRS account. This is my first episode of my OSRS AFK series, so please leave me a like and subscribe if you like what you see. Starting with number 1, meleeing tortured gorillas while wearing full guthans. Now the reason this method is so useful is because tortured gorillas have a chance to drop the highly sought after Zenyte shard. These monsters are located at the crash site north of the Grand Tree, and here's a map of how to get to this location. Full guthans has a set effect that when activated heals you for the damage dealt. I recommend starting this method with 80 strength, melee, and defense. On my account, I'm able to stay here for extremely long periods of time without eating. However, I have near max combat stats, so your frequency of having to eat may vary. For you lower levels, you may need to pay a tad bit more attention. Now the rate of the Zenyte shard from these mobs is rather rare, that being 1 in 5,000. But this is a powerful AFK method that will gain you attack, strength, and defense XP passively. I highly recommend not picking up the smaller drops, and just focusing on the rune drops from these mobs to make the experience more AFK. You will also want to bring alch runes, a full inventory of food for if your HP gets too low, and some super combat potions. Oh, and don't forget your seed pod either. You may be the person to get lucky here and get a shard, but if not, you will still get some juicy combat XP, and it's worth checking out. You can even do those pesky black demon tasks here and be fully AFK, so I suggest taking advantage of this method. On to the next one. Number 2. Range safe spotting twisted banshees in the catacombs. To get started, you will simply need your best range gear as well as a slayer helm or earmuffs to negate the banshee's scream. Here is where you will want to stand as you will be unhittable. And here is a map of where these mobs are located once you're in the Zia catacombs. This method is great for lower levels as banshees are extremely accessible and have high HP. Their drop table consists of multiple alkables that drop very frequently, as well as a plethora of grimy herbs. Here's a drop table on screen. I wanted to feature this AFK because this drop table is especially useful for irons and mid to low level accounts who are looking to build their bank while being AFK. You can walk out of here with a lot of herbs and cash at the end of the day. And since these mobs are in the catacombs, you can also score yourself some shards and totem pieces, which can be used either to charge Arclight as well as fight Skeletal. So if you're a lower to mid level, try this out, you won't regret it. As a bonus feature for this video, a higher level alternative to this is killing Skeletal Wyverns. This used to be the OG moneymaker of OSRS and still serves as a great AFK if you want to train your ranged and make some cash, as well as gain some prey XP on the way. Skeletal Wyverns drop lots of runes and alkables, and even drop dragon legs at a rate of 1 in 512, as well as the legendary draconic visage at a rate of 1 in 10,000. This mob has one of the more interesting drop tables in the entire game, and you never actually have to leave the spot since a lot of those drops are noted. You also never take damage from these monsters after losing aggression. I personally love this method, and one day hope to get the visage myself by doing this. So to get started with AFKing these wyverns, I recommend wearing your best range gear, and don't forget your elemental shield to block the wyvern breath attack. Does anyone remember this iconic moment, by the way? Number 3. Fishing dark crabs in the resource area. So this is one of my favorite AFKs of all time, and bonus points if you have the elite diary done, as this will double your catch rate and also make the entrance fee to the resource area free. Fishing dark crabs does require a fishing level of 85, so if you can't fish dark crabs, I recommend AFKing infernal eels or carmbwans until your fishing level is higher. Those are still 2 very solid AFKs. You can even bring your fish pail here, which will be protected if you were to die to a PKer. Just come here with a little to no risk and try this method out. Here's a map of how to get here. We will start in Edgeville and teleport with the wilderness lever. Don't forget a knife or a sword to slash the web after entering or exiting the wilderness. Now, the wilderness resource location for dark crabs feature fishing spots that actually never move. And with this method, I'm able to get over 7 minutes of AFK time. Keep in mind that you can even note your dark crabs here if you bring GP, so you could technically stay indefinitely. I suggest bringing 25k GP or less, and staying here for a couple hundred catches. To get started, you'll just need dark fishing bait and a lobster pot, and also the mentality that if you die, it's really not the end of the world. Spending time in the wilderness can also make you feel more confident as a player, and remember that the better PKers don't really frequent this spot, so escaping is pretty darn easy. To escape, I recommend wearing black dehides, bringing an extra GP to pay the fee to the resource area if you haven't completed the Wildy Elite Diary, as well as a lockpick for the Axe Hut, where you can safely X-log while in combat. Bringing one Ceradomin brew is also a good method for emergency scenarios. In the past, I've even brought a Zamorak Godsword to use its special attack, freezing the PKers in place. The ZGS also has a huge +8 prayer bonus, which will help you keep your protection prayers up if you are attacked. Seriously guys, try this out. It's such an amazing AFK method for dark crabs, which are one of the highest healing food items in the game, which also sell for a pretty decent profit. Number 4. Meleeing Gargoyles in the Slayer Tower while wearing full guthans. Guthans again is extremely useful for AFK methods, and this one's pretty simple. Roll up to the Slayer Tower in full guthans while wearing a Ring of Wealth to automatically pick up the GP. Here's a map of where the Gargoyles are located, which is at the top of the Mauritania Slayer Tower. To get here quickly, I use a Slayer Ring teleport or the Fairy Ring just south of this location. Now this method is very good for GP and combat XP, as Gargoyles drop a ton of GP, even being a stack of 10k in some instances. You can easily make a few 100k per hour with this method through minimal game client interaction. I recommend setting your guthans to the attack style of Crush, which will maximize your DPS and the healing set effect of the Guthan equipment. I typically only pick up the rune drops as well as the higher value drops such as Mystic Gear or Granite Mauls. And pro tip guys, just don't forget your Alk runes and of course that pesky Rock Hammer. I know I've forgotten it so many times. Number 5. Meleeing Vyrewatch Sentinels in Darkmire. Yes guys, I have to feature this one as it's the current king of AFK moneymakers. This method does require access to Darkmire, a quest reward after the completion of Sins of the Father. These vampires are next to an altar, so put on your best paragear, such as Proselyte or Sunfire armor, and get to work. Also remember to bring your Vyre Noble clothing to be able to bank and control the monster aggression in the area. The Vyrewatch Sentinels drop the extremely expensive Blood Shard to create the Amulet of Blood Fury, and I really do recommend this AFK strategy to build your bank as it requires no supplies and very little attention. Depending on the prayer gear I'm wearing, I'm able to AFK here for up to 10 minutes. Just don't go too AFK here or you may miss the Blood Shard drop, which would be really tragic. Trust me guys, I've seen it happen. Alright, so that's it for this video of 5 AFKs that I find extremely useful in old school RuneScape. And thank you again for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe for more, as I love AFKing and do have more methods to share. Cheers.